Good morning, everyone. Mauricio Garcia here. As always, excited to begin another Conquistador Podcast. And I am always joined by my mentor, my friend, my partner, Mr. Hubert. Humphrey. Hubert, how are you today, sir?
Doing great. Glad to be here, buddy.
Awesome. Well, today I want to talk about aggressiveness. It is quite a concept, I believe, every driven, determined dreamer better understand right. Because without aggressiveness, you always say all the other talents are practically useless unless we have aggressiveness. So let's talk about that. How have you taught your, how do I call them, your team members, your leaders in the company to be aggressive?
Well, first of all, I'll make sure that they, like you said, that they understand that that without aggressiveness, nothing else matters. In fact, I was able to get a copy of a Top Gun, declassified Top Gun pilot manual many years ago, and as I read through this thing, it was a treasure trove of ideas about of the mentality you have to be a Top Gun pilot, to make an aggressive vertical move, to fight into the vertical, to do all those things. It said that if you didn't have aggressiveness, all your other capabilities were useless if you didn't have the stomach to engage the enemy, so to speak. And so you got to have this willingness to go out there to join the battle, to sword in hand, go out there and engage in the business of this game of life and of business, and be aggressive and teaching people, make sure they understand that, and then. The thing I've always done my most teaching by is by example. I've tried to be the kind of leader that they should follow. I've tried to practice what I preach. I've tried to make sure my master copy was worth duplicating, and they've always seen that I'm aggressive. I'm not always perfect in what we do, but to me, an imperfect plan violently executed right now is far superior to an imperfect plan that's delayed or never enacted. And so aggressiveness is to go do something. It's just something about, sometimes the only thing you can do is just put your head down and go charge and do something important in the next 5 minutes, the next 24 hours, the next week. Something you have, some blitz or some charge, some 90-day madman cycle. You just go put it down, and it changes everything. So aggressiveness is the key to me. If you don't have aggressive, if you're, the opposite of that is being passive and tentative, mm-hmm. and weak and all those things, and you don't want to do that. Now, obviously, in relationships with people, your spouse, your family, you don't want to get out and be real aggressive with them. But I'm talking about when you're out trying to create success in the business world. Business is a tough thing, especially if you're in successful businesses. There's a great book out there called Waging Business Warfare that I read many years ago, and boy, did it open my eyes to the fact that it's a jungle out there, and that you literally have got to be like a military leader building your division, your squadron, or whatever, to be able to go out there and compete in the world. If you don't eat your own lunch, somebody else will. So you got to be aggressive. You're either going to be a player or you're going to be roadkill. Which one do you want to be? So that's really the mentality. It's not a it's not a mean-spirited type feeling. It's just it's an attitude. It's an attitude of be on the offense. Don't always be back on your heels on defense. Don't be a reactor. Be a proactor. And that's really what it's meaning. It's not some. You got to be some ferocious WWE wrestler looking person. You just got to be. You got to have a made up mind. It starts with a made up mind. That's how I teach our people. One is if our people are prepared, if they know what it takes to be successful, if they know what our system is, and if they follow our system, it's a proven, tested system. It's a predictable system. And that gives them the confidence to go ahead and take the next step, and take the next step, because it's the same system that thousands and thousands of people have done over the years to be successful. Now all of a sudden they're not tentative. That's how I teach them. They have more aggressiveness because they know they're following a proven system. They know they're following leaders who have done this before. That's how I do it. Now, a lot of people may not have that kind of a track record to be able to go and do that to somebody, but if they know your mind's made up, if they know you know what you're talking about, and you can lay it out clearly for them, and you stretch their vision enough to where they can see that they could do it, that's how you get people to be more aggressive.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So if you have a system, you know the path, you have the instructions manual, you can have more confidence, which leads to being able to execute with aggressiveness. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. People that are tentative don't understand what they're doing. They don't believe what they're doing. They don't know how to make what they're doing work. There's this whole bunch of negatives, and they're just there, and you can sense it. People can sense fear. They can sense tentativeness, and I found out in life a simple little rule: when two people get together. When two people get together, one's going to be leading, one's going to be following. At any given moment, one's going to be leading, one's going to be following. And you've got to make sure, there's going to be times you're going to be a follower, but you got to, if you're the leader, you better lead. Leaders must lead. You can't lead from the rear, you got to lead from the front. That's why we use the phrase, do it first, leader. That's probably the number one thing for a team to have a little bit more of an aggressive attitude is if it's got an aggressive leader. If the leader is out there willing to put it on the line, is out showing the way, that spirit of aggressiveness comes out there. You know, we talk about I use the example of the firing habit. They did a study back in the last several wars, especially. They studied in World War II and in Vietnam and in the Korean War. They did a study that said that 95% of the U.S. soldiers in the Army out in the field never fired their weapons in combat. Now think about that. Now here's an army fighting wars, and 95% of the soldiers never fired their weapon in combat. And why was that? Because they were not aggressive. They didn't quite understand. They didn't really know how to. They didn't trust their weapon. First of all, they didn't trust that they could shoot straight and first. Because if you're hiding in a foxhole and you don't really think you're a good shot, or you don't think you can handle this business or this thing, or if you run out of ammo, you don't know how to put another clip in fast. Because the minute you shoot, the enemy's gonna know where you're at.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you don't hit them, if you're scared and you can't hit them, what are they going to do? They're going to shoot you. So that's one reason why the people didn't do it. They just didn't know how to fire the weapons properly. Didn't have the confidence, and so it was a waste of men and equipment. And sometimes that can be the key to winning or losing in a battle.
Absolutely. Well, I can see now why that the classified manual had the word aggressiveness. So I guess those that didn't show up or that didn't train well, that didn't build the confidence enough to know that they had the ability, to hit their target when they shoot, are the ones that don't do it. And I can see why it relates so much in business. Sometimes we don't go in business because we fear that we'll fail. Because we don't have a system in place. We don't have a proven track or a clear path to follow. So, that's why a lot of people not just fail, but maybe more people that fail in business. There's probably so many more that never even go into business because of that fear.
Well, I'll tell you one little secret that's helped me for the last almost 40 years. As we've been building these big companies and big super teams, is that we had a system. It made us a unique. Now, I'm not saying that other people don't have systems, but we've had a proven, tested system from the beginning that we've used, and it's literally recruited millions of people, built the hundreds of thousands of successful people, and billions of dollars of wealth for the consumers, and it's built big multi-billion-dollar market cap companies. But it was that simple little system that caused people from all walks of life who've never had any experience in business, had never been in financial services, had never had licenses or anything like that, could get in a business, and a larger percentage of them could be successful to some degree than other businesses. I mean, we've had a better track record than most companies would ever have with something like that. It's that system saved them. It's this two things: the system saved them, and then the leaders were there. There were upline leaders who had a vested interest in them. And when you know somebody, Mauricio, when you know somebody's got your back, you can be more aggressive. You can be more confident if you know somebody's backing you up. If you know somebody's there helping you, and if you can see, sometimes if you can see somebody else doing something, you can go and do that because you can see how they're doing it. All of that's built into our leadership and our system, and that builds a lot more aggressiveness than you would have normally, and that's been one of the real keys to our business.
You know, I've seen that some people who walk around, and maybe when you first look at them, you're thinking, that's a very introverted person. But I've seen them rise from zero to superstars in no time. And that's because they're aggressive in their action. They just do without necessarily carrying themselves with this, just aggressive attitude. So it's more about doing.
Hey, Mauricio, one thing. The name of this podcast is Conquistador Podcast.
Absolutely.
The word conquistador in English is conqueror.
Yep.
In fact, the name of our company is Hegemon Group International. The word hegemon is a Greek word meaning dominance, imperial dominance, to dominate. If somebody is practicing hegemony against you, that means they want to dominate you. Mm-hmm. The U.S. wants to be the dominant force in the Middle East. I mean, it's a hegemon. It's a dominant player. That by its nature, conqueror, one of our themes is conquer your future. And we're looking for the modern day Alexander's, the modern day warrior mentality people. That implies that it's going to be a battle out there. It implies that you've got to be aggressive to win. You ain't got to be the bravest soul. You just got to be teachable and coachable and aligned. If you're aligned, our business, if you're just brave enough to try our system, that's all the courage you need right now, because the system's going to give you the aggressiveness that you need. But you got to have it, or you won't be a conquistador. You'll be a victim of a conquistador somewhere.
There you go. You either you are a conqueror or you get conquered. Is that all right?
That's right.
All right.
That's
well,
right.
With that, I think the message is clear, everybody. Before we wrap it up, I do want to remind you to like. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you like and share, and comment below as well. What was your biggest takeaway from this episode? If you are listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, make sure to share so that other driven, determined dreamers out there can learn from the only person in history here who's built 2 multi-billion-dollar market cap companies in the financial industry. And remember to check out our sponsor, Hegemon Group International, by going to HCIopportunity.com, because they have the best opportunity in America today. HCIopportunity.com. Check them out, and you can thank me later. With that being said, Hubert, as always, great podcast today. Thank you for sharing all that value. I will see you tomorrow, sir.
All right, see you. Take care.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.